Brett Christopher.
And I'm Brendan Healy. The central character of the play is Charlotte von Malsdorf, who was born as Lothar Berfelde, who was sort of a transvestite, who lived openly as a transvestite through Nazi Germany and through Eastern Berlin, so through the sort of the communist regime, and became sort of a celebrity after the Berlin Wall fell, because people were sort of amazed that this woman was able to live an open lifestyle through two very oppressive political regimes that were particularly anti-gay. And this American playwright by the name of Doug Wright sort of found her and began a relationship with her where he interviewed her, and those interviews formed the basis of this play.
So I was kind of interested, though, that the play is a one-person play, but it's 40 characters, I'm mistaken. Why do you think they wrote it like that? Or
That is the million-dollar question. Why did they? Why do you think they did?
Well, I think for a bunch of reasons. The writer, Doug Wright, one thing that he was really moved by in the idea of making it a one-person show, and making that one person always wear a dress. That was sort of like, I think, the impetus for the idea, was that the norm in this play is a man wearing a dress. And so when the actor becomes a Nazi officer, it's a Nazi wearing a dress. When it becomes a Stasi officer, it's a Stasi wearing a dress. When it becomes a janitor, it's a janitor wearing a dress, but that the dress becomes the norm. So I feel that the playwright was sort of titillated by the subversive element in just that basic proposal. I think the second thing is that it's also really quite entertaining, and when you have an actor such as Brett, who's really versatile, it's part of just the sheer pleasure of the play is watching this one actor embody so many different characters, and that's a big part of the pleasure of the show.
And Brett, how difficult is it?
Well, I mean, when we first started working on it, it was excruciating. There are some scenes that are three people around a table having a conversation, and you can't really sort of go, I'm here, and now I'm over here, and I've got you kind of just have to figure out a way to present to an audience three different human beings in conversation, and one is a 65-year-old woman, and another one is a Texan, and another one is a New York playwright. So the three of them, use accents and physicality and manners of being and essences and all these different things to kind of delineate this is who this is. And I mean, we spent weeks on these things to sort of really make it clear, because the whole point of this is telling this sort of incredible story of this woman, and to really let the audience follow the story. Even though it's one person, I've had to figure out. So with her, a lot of the time my hands are kind of just like this, just like it would a 65-year-old person would be kind of small and with the hands tight. And so if I do that, the audience, it's easier for me to kind of find that character if I do that physically, but also it's easier for the audience to know, okay, that's who's speaking now. I mean, she also sounds like an old German woman. She's got a German accent and a little bit of an older sort of element to her voice. But
Now, unfortunately, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm really excited to see this. I really am. After reading, especially all the news articles and doing a little Wikipedia search on Charlotte, and I'm just kind of interested, though, from both of you, are there characteristics of Charlotte that you may or may not identify with yourself as, or maybe more towards Brett there first?
I mean, I hate to say it because I think she's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I think the thing that attracted him so much to her was that she was totally at home with who she was. He describes her as being so, her essence, the femininity within her was so incredible. She was absolutely at home. I mean, she wasn't a drag queen. She didn't wear makeup. She just lived as a woman, as a housekeeper in this house. And I think he's kind of floored by that, because he sort of, and that's kind of the story of the play too. He sort of accesses her like, wow, that's a transvestite. But then the more and more he gets into the story, he's going further and further inside of her and seeing this is a woman. This is an incredible, just an individual who lived through these sort of incredible oppressive times. You know, and much like everybody, I think the play starts with the door opening, and I just stand there. And, you know, when we did it in Montreal, we would have a range of sort of reactions to that moment, but especially since it was generally a senior audience, as theater tends to be, you'd get kind of like, oh, like, what the hell is this play? That's strange. There's a 30-year-old man in a black dress and pearls. Darling, we're at the wrong show or the wrong theater. And I think that's how he saw her too. And she, you know, near the beginning of the play, she says, as she's giving a tour of her museum, which is also part of the story we haven't talked about, she has this museum that she curates. One of the first lines she says is, a lot of people come to my museum because they want to see me. But soon they look at my furniture. Soon they realize that, you know, there is a lot more than just the dress that I'm wearing. I'm a very interesting person other than just that. So that's not really an answer to your question. Am I like her? Am I fully comfortable with who I am? No, probably not. I'm an actor, so I'm trying to get through all of the other people. You know, I think she's a very gentle, very self-assured, very experienced person. None of those things of which I am. Yeah, but it sure is fun to play her. It really is an incredible experience to be in her. You know, to really sort of spend time in that dress and to spend time with her. It's a very fun, because, and I've always really enjoyed playing characters that are very comfortable with who they are, because it's just so nice to be that kind of person. You know, some kind of person that is just says, this is who I am, and you can love me or accept me or reject me or judge me, and it doesn't really matter to me. It's just who I am.
Yeah, I mean, just to you know, briefly build on that, I think that she's a character who you want to be like, not that you necessarily find yourself as being. And I think, you know, I connect with her on a bunch of levels in terms of as a role model, and I think probably sort of, or at least this time through as we're working on it, is she's so iconoclastic. Like, she really defies all norms. Like, even for a transvestite, like, she never wore makeup. She wasn't particularly campy. She dressed up as a housefrau. Really, she dressed up like a cleaning lady, and that was her drag. And the fact that she was so outside the norm, for me, I find really inspirational, because, you know, in our day and age, in queer culture, and as a queer man, there is a bit of a normalization that's happening to our culture and to our icons, and there's either a particular kind of masculinity that's really being pushed, or a particular kind of femininity that's really being pushed, and she really lived outside of all those norms, but was fully identified as a queer individual. And I find that really inspirational, to meet the true gender warriors out there who are really, really pushing all assumptions and just trying to live authentic lives. And there's a lot of power in that. And I feel really moved by that aspect of her personality. Yeah.